What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle.
Greetings. Welcome back, fourth graders. For today's math lesson, you're only going to need your math workbook and a pencil. So if you don't have those, go off and get those now, and I'll just wait for you. Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to do subtraction. And again, it sounds like some review from third grade, but that's fine. We're getting pretty close to being done with the review and on to some multiplication stuff. So for subtraction, let's start with page 23. Right up at the top of the page, it talks about discuss ungrouping with zeros. And we'll get into this when I show you an example of number 8 in a second. So for the sake of time, don't worry about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? We'll get into all this stuff as we do the example. So let's just start with number 7. It says, subtract, show your new groups. And what they mean by that is we're going to have to do some borrowing or some regrouping here. So for instance, on this one, I like the fact that they've given us a big chunk of page right next to each of these problems, because it might be easiest for a lot of us to just rewrite it, but a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do that. 6, 34. I'm going to give myself some room up top, because that's where the action is going to happen. 2, 56. And a subtract. I can't take 6 away from 4, so I have to regroup or borrow, right? So this 3 becomes a 2, and then I put this into a 14. He goes to a 14, because I'm adding a chunk of 10 to that. 14 take away 6, it's going to be 8. 2 take away 5, can't do it. 6, borrow from the 6, he goes to a 5, this becomes a 12. So now 12 take away 5, 7, 5 take away 2, 3. Okay. Up top, it talked about ungrouping with zeros, and this is what it's talking about. A problem like this, this sometimes can fool people even at the end of 5th grade if they don't do it quite right. So with one of these, it's easiest. We're going to need some room for this one because there's a lot of crossing out happening. So I'm going to leave a little gaps in between when I write my 800 and then my 691. Subtract. So obviously I can't take 1 away from 0, so I go to his next door neighbor, but his next door neighbor has nothing either, right? So I have to go all the way to the 8. So I go next door here. So the 8 becomes a 7, and I can't just bring that 1 all the way back to the one I need. I have to go stage by stage. So this one goes now, this becomes a 10, and now that this is a 10, I can cross it out and borrow from it, and it becomes a 9. And now this one becomes a 10. So now I'm set up for the whole problem. 10 take away 1, 9. 9 take away 9, 0. 7 take away 6, 1. All right, so for number 9, I'm going to do this one kind of slow and see if you can kind of follow along with me as we go. I'm going to rewrite this one because there's going to be some regrouping to do in there. So I'm going to go 9, 4, 6, 2. I'm leaving some kind of gaps in between because there's going to be some crossing out happening. 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that's pretty nice. And subtract. All right. Once you have it written, I'm going to go nice and slow. See if you can kind of stay a step ahead of me. I can't take 8 away from 2, so I'm going to the 6 to cross it out. He becomes a 5. And now my 2 becomes a 12. 12 take away 8, 4. 5 take away 7, can't do it. I have to borrow from the 4. 4 becomes a 3, and the 5 becomes a 15. 15 take away 7, 8. Now 3 take away 6, no can do. 9 goes to an 8. 3 goes to a 13. So now 13 take away 6, 7. Comma comes down. 8 take away 5. Finally, I can do that. 3,784. Okay? I'm going to show you one problem on the next page, and then it's pretty much going to be all you. So on page 24, you're going to see just a big pile of problems to work on. and you're very capable of doing so. Now, they did give you space on both sides here to have some work being done. I'm going to zoom in just on number 11. Super big. All right, the reason I'm zooming in on number 11 is because this is the first one we have for an example of a 0 just kind of camped out in there all by himself. On number 13, for example, they've got 7,000, right? So all zeros. This is the only one we have for an example that's just got 1 0 hanging out in the middle. So I'll work through this first part. 2 take away 9, obviously, no can do. Let me rewrite this real quick. 8, 5, 0, 2, 3, 7, 4, 9. So again, 9 take away 2, not possible. So I go next door. The 0 doesn't have any to share. So we go all the way to the 5 to regroup, or ungroup, right? 5 becomes a 4, and now this can become a 10. And now that he's a 10, I can borrow from him. Now that's a 9, and this becomes a 12. Okay, so now I've got 12 take away 9 gets me 3. 9 take away 4 gets me 5. 4 take away 7 gets me 3. And 8 take away 3 ends up with a 5. Okay, now you're all set to do all the problems on page 24 on your own, including the last 2 story problems. When you're finished, take a picture of it and make sure it's good. Mr. Jones and I have a lot to look at on this page as far as regrouping and borrowing and whatnot. So make sure it's well lit and get it as clean as possible. Good luck.